Welcome to The Real Deal, where it's all about businesses in central Massachusetts and northeastern Connecticut. And now, your host, Anthony Chabot of Chabot & Associates.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Real Deal Business Podcast. My name is Anthony Chabot with Chabot & Associates Real Estate Group of Keller Williams. And on today's show, I'm very happy to announce that we have Theresa LaCasse of Windows Art Gallery. So welcome to the show, Theresa.
Thank you so much, Tony. It's really good to be here with you.
So Theresa and I met, I would say probably about maybe a month and a half or 2 months ago, somewhere along those lines.
Correct.
And she was looking for some space in Putnam, and we were able to work it out, and she is now all set up in a beautiful space in the Montgomery Ward building, and she has classes available. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what your business is all about?
So I have lived up here in this part of Connecticut for almost the last 8 years. I am from Vermont originally. I grew up, however, part of my time in Connecticut around the Tolland area, and when I returned here 8 years ago, I came back doing my usual occupation as a nurse. I worked at Dick Kimball Hospital for a while doing nurse navigation, and a few years ago, a year ago, I was done doing nursing, and it was time to do something different. So now I paint. I know that's a big jump, nurse, paint, but painting brings me a lot of joy. I'm able to do it. People like my work. I've been selling my work very kind of unexpectedly. And so I've launched this now because there was a great market here in Putnam to put a painting studio. I do painting classes for adults and for children. I am launching an online class for people that homeschool their children at home, as well as I have homeschoolers coming into my studio every Friday to do an art class. I have a class or two almost every day for everybody. I have classes for senior adults. I have classes for date night. I have Thursday nights I think it's every second Thursday of the month. I have teen pizza party with painting. Every fourth Thursday of the month, I have ladies' night out. Every first Thursday of the month is parent-child date night. And the owner of Arts and Framing down here came with her family to the first one that I had. They had a great time doing sea turtles. So I have a lot going on here. I even have room for little kids. If you've got one in the stroller, I have a little table set up over here, and I actually have some toys so that little ones that aren't quite ready to paint can play or play with crayons. So I'm hoping to really present a really family-oriented community place where people can come, relax, learn about some paintings. I also have other artists who have decided to hang some of their work in here. So a gentleman by the name of Dick Payne, he has that beautiful painting that I know you can't see on a podcast, but it's of Gloucester, Massachusetts, which is a real popular place to paint. He does his own framing, and I'm hoping that some of the local teenagers that have been coming through here looking at my paintings who like to do artwork will be back by to hang some of their work. That big pumpkin over there that you can see was painted by a couple of our local teens during one of the nights they were here. So there's a lot to offer here, and there's a lot that can be going on here, and I'm really looking forward to meeting everybody in the community.
Well, we're happy to have you in downtown Putnam. You've basically taken the town by storm because you became part of the heart of the community immediately, and you offered your space to host the Main Street committee meeting for the PBA, and I've been attending those meetings, and you and I have spoken a lot about a lot of the goings-on in downtown Putnam recently, and we have such great things that are about to happen, and there's always something great happening in Putnam, but it seems like since you've come here, a lot of other great things have happened as well. We also have Dave right down at Skeeter's Toy Box, where Arts and Framing used to be, new in the Montgomery Ward building. And it looks like we're going to have another couple new tenants coming in next door and down below on the other side of the building facing Cargill Falls. And I don't know if you can hear it, but let me just take a little walk over here for a second, and I'm going to put the microphone out of the window in Theresa's studio because you can actually hear Cargill Falls. So that noise that you hear there is Cargill Falls along with a little bit of traffic ambiance. And so she's got a great space up here. Actually, this was A&L Marketplace a while back, and then it was August and March, and they both moved down to Main Street next to the stomping ground. But we are so happy to have Theresa here now because not only is she a great artist, and not only does she do all types of events throughout the week and accommodates pretty much anybody that's interested in
I do walk-ins. People want to walk in, like the quick pick at lunchtime. If you see this cute little barn up here, this is a 20-minute painting that some business person, I kind of think of business people in the community that need a break from their office, or maybe they're having a tough day. You can come in here. You could call me up and say, Theresa, would you order me lunch from Victoria Station? Or would you order me lunch from the courthouse or the Stomp? I will get your lunch. I'll bring it over here, and you can do this 20-minute painting for $10 plus the cost of your lunch.
Wow.
So that's a quick pick that's every day. But you can walk in here. I've had a couple of homeschoolers walk in with their parents or their grandparents to do a painting. As long as I'm not actively having another class, I take walk-ins. And one of the things I love about the studio space, and I feel bad, Ashley needed to go down to Main Street because she lost this view, but I get that view of Cargill Falls. So when you go out of here, if you look at my painting that I've done as my store logo.
Yes, right outside of the big studio.
Looks like a stained glass window. That actually is Cargill Falls. Winnie's on there, and that view from out there. One of the things that I'm developing, if you peek around the corner here, you can't see it from here, but I've covered up one of the windows with a canvas because that's going to be my online studio backdrop. And so I'm recreating that window, Cargill Falls, and the universe through the window because I like the fact that I know Putnam's not the center of the universe. However, I'm here in the center of Putnam, so when I look out my window, I feel like the center of Putnam is in this building. So that's what I paint. I call myself the Windows Art Gallery because I like to paint things that I can see through a window. And if you own a camper like I do, I can take my window and I can go anywhere and look at something and be painting through a window. And I like to look at things through a frame. If you look at a lot of my artwork, there's a frame around it. I call that a window. So the Windows Art Gallery.
That is pretty neat. I was actually wondering what the origin of the name is.
That's the origin. I like to see what I can see through windows. So that's one of the things I do. And one of the things that I've developed before I started working here is I have a 501c3 that I'm also the head of. It's called Red Cord Ministries. And we like to help women, local women and their children who are struggling with any kind of recovery need. Recovery stretches not just from drugs. We all know that we have a very critical opioid problem in the United States, and Putnam is seriously affected by that as well. We're not out of the mix with that. We're right in the middle of it. And so I have a 501c3 organization that wants to help local women. So during our Ugly Sweater weekend, during the holiday strolls that are coming up with downtown Putnam, we've got 5 weekends of, let's see, the first weekend is Black Friday. The second weekend is our gingerbread house competition. The third weekend is our Ugly Sweater and 3K walk for this Red Cord Ministries that I operate to help women. The fourth weekend is the stocking stuffer weekend, where all the shops will have special stockings to raffle off. And the fifth weekend is the procrastinators weekend. We're going to try to have small gifts that are all put together that people can buy. So there is a lot going on in downtown Putnam. There's a lot of causes to support. There's great shopping to be had. There's chocolate. And I'm really excited to see what's going to happen over the holidays as we all get together down here.
That sounds like a great combination of all those things coming together over the holiday season. So, all right. Actually, there was another thing I wanted to ask you. Contact information, phone number, web address, email address,
Correct.
all that stuff, Facebook page. Can you tell us all that?
I can. So if you Google me, the Windows Art Gallery, I pop up. Facebook the same way, because I have a Facebook page, but I can't tell you that I know the address. But if you type in there Windows Art Gallery, I just pop right up. Sorry that I don't know that. My website is www.windowscompany.online. That makes it sound like I do Windows, but every other address was taken, so I couldn't have them. So windowscompany.online is my website. It's fully functional. You can book a class on there. You can pay for the class on there. You can look through all my classes. And then my email is tackles, TACKLES 48@gmail.com. My phone number is 860-382-5095.
And for some reason, that email address always strikes me kind of funny. I always wondered, why tackles? Is there a story behind that?
There's a story behind that. So just as I preface it so nobody's sad, I'm happily married now, but I lost a husband to cancer. back in 2012. My husband, Charlie, last name Ackles, died of cancer.
Oh,
so my name used to be Theresa Ackles. T. Ackles, Tackles. So my email address was Tackles. So and I've just kept that. But that's where that came from, Tackles. Yeah, it's not Tackles the football. That used to be my last name.
I was kind of wondering what that was from, so interesting. So, well, as I look around here, I see a lot of different types of paintings. So can you give our listeners an idea of maybe somebody that doesn't have any experience painting, if they were going to come here, and they were going to take the easiest class that they could, what would that easy class be?
So one of the things that I've done, because I don't have 5,000 paintings under my belt, I've been painting for a year. I paint very intricate things that would be really hard to teach to a beginner. So one of the things I did was I have licensed a library of paintings from a woman who is an internet phenom. She does painting, and her name is Cinnamon Cooney. So I'm a licensed labs studio, Labs. That just stands for labs. Anyways, Cinnamon Cooney is called the Art Sherpa. So she licenses to small businesses, paint parties, paintings that we can teach people, that she labels them by degree of difficulty as a hoot, like an owl hoot. So if you do a one hoot painting, that's a simple painting for a beginner. If you do a two hoot painting, that's a little more difficult.
Okay.
If you do a three hoot painting, you're into my galaxy over there, which took me weeks to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't seem like a one-year painter. You
I know.
never painted before that? And
No.
You just really? And you opened your own art gallery after a year. That's
Do you want to hear
aggressive.
the truth? You want to hear the whole story?
I do, yeah.
All right. So I'm a woman of faith. Whatever your religion is fine with you. I happen to be a Christian, so I don't say this to make anybody feel anything other than happy and joyful, but my slant is Christianity. So when I was in my last year of nursing, it became very tough for me to be a nurse. I just cried all the time. I was not sleeping well. I have dealt with oncology or cancer diagnoses for 38 years. So you can imagine the toll that takes on somebody's brain. And so by the end of this last year, it wasn't that I didn't know what I should be doing as a nurse. I was irritated all the time. My voice was louder and sharper than it should have been, and not with patients, but with insurance companies. And so as my boss was talking to me one day, she said, you're really struggling in some areas. And I was sort of unaware of that. That was one of the things I didn't realize, was how stressed I was by trauma from other people. So I left my work that day and I cried all the way home on the Mass Pike. I seriously probably should have stopped, but I just kept driving, and I just said to God, I said, if I can't be a nurse anymore after 38 years, sorry, I still get a little tearful about this. I said, what am I going to do? Because I've known since age 2, since I could speak, that my call in life was nursing, and I was to help people. That's like losing your arm. I mean, I lost a piece of me that didn't know how to function anymore with all this stress, and it was really impacting my life. So I'm driving on the Mass Pike, sobbing all the way home, and God said to me, he said, well, I'm going to have you paint. And I said, excuse me? I mean, seriously, it's making me talking to you and you saying, Theresa, why don't you go shave your head off and paint black spots on it like a cow?
Yeah.
I just was like, excuse me, I'm going to do what? He said, you're going to paint. And I was actually going to be at an event in Rotary Park the next day with the ministry that I run, raising funds for Red Cord Ministries. We were going to have a booth at a Christian festival that takes place in Putnam every year. So he said, nope, just go and buy some paints at Michael's on your way home, buy some canvas, and you're going to paint in the park tomorrow. And I said, really? I said, and what am I going to paint? And he said, whatever I tell you. And I said, okay. And I'm sorry, Tony, I don't have my first painting here. So I'm in the park. I'm doing this painting. And in my recovery work with women, I had done a painting with some of them that represented like struggles in life. And nobody's name was on it. It was just this big painting on a big piece of plywood that I had done a year ago. It wasn't a painting, art painting. It was a tool to use for these women. And nobody had wanted it, so it was just stored at my house. So I brought that along with me to the park that day, and I'm standing there painting the steeple of the church, right across the river here that you can see in the birch trees. I'm just painting away. Now, my poor husband had just gotten to the park. It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He said, where's Theresa? And they said, oh, she's over there painting. And he said, what's she painting, the bandstand? I said, they all laughed. They said, no, she's doing a painting. He's like, well, when did that happen? I hadn't even had time to talk to him about it. So I'm standing there. Roland's looking at me, and I'm doing this painting, and this woman walks up to me. I've got that funky painting from a year ago sitting on the ground, and it was huge. I mean, we're talking larger than 48 by 48. This is this big piece of plywood that we just painted on, stuff. And she looked at me, and she said, oh, I love your work. And I said, thanks. And I'm just kind of laughing, going, okay. And I'm painting this dove up here in the birch tree and the steeple. And she said, wow. She said, do you sell your work? And I'm like, okay, we got a piece of plywood on the ground. I'm thinking this with some paint on it and this bird thing here. And I'm like, sure, yeah, I sell my work. And I'm like, okay, I'm just thinking in my head. All right, what's she want? She came back 5 minutes later and she gave me $300 for that painting on the ground.
Wow.
Now, she came to my house and picked it up because it was so big she couldn't possibly even put it in anything but a truck. So I sold this piece of work that was kind of a collaboration with all my stuff on it. She's been buying my paintings ever since. I've been selling paintings ever since. My paintings are hanging in certain places around town with people and businesses. And so that's how I launched. I just got gifted the ability to paint on August 18th of 2017. That's literally what happened because I had really never seriously thought about painting anything, beyond my woodwork in my house. Mm-hmm. It was a gift. Now, I don't know how to paint everything, so I've had to take some not lessons, but tutorials on the internet I've watched on how to paint certain things. So if you go back to that thought that I had about the license that I own to teach labs from the art Sherpa Cinnamon Cooney, if you look at my wall over here, one of the first paintings I did is those daisies up there. That is an art Sherpa painting. And
I love that one. Yeah, that's nice.
Isn't that pretty?
Mm-hmm.
I put a frame on it. I'm licensed to sell that work as long as I give credit to the artist on the back, and so I do. And so those daisies are a one hoop painting. Believe it or not, that is not that hard to do if you're led by the artist on how to do it. Mm-hmm. That painting can be done in about 2 hours.
So that would be a newbie.
That would be a newbie painting.
Level.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, if you go down a little farther underneath there and you look at that big orange flower to the right, that's a poppy. That happens to be a different artist by the name of Angela Anderson. That's a tutorial I did with her on the internet so that I could learn how to make those ruffled leaves because I wasn't gifted with that ability.
That's pretty neat.
I can do a galaxy like that next to it, and I can do that barn over there that's in Eastford. But that poppy right there, I had no idea how to do that. So I did a tutorial and taught myself how to do that.
So you painted the poppy one also?
Oh, yeah, I painted all of these, except for the ones by Dick Payne.
Oh, wow.
Those are all mine.
They look completely different styles.
Vastly different. So the first thing that I learned how to paint were what I call my faith-based or scriptural kind of painting. See that galaxy there? Look up in the top. Those are angels in heaven, just looking down on earth with power and love. That's one of my creation paintings, I call it. That one behind you is also called Creation. There's angels in it. Somebody said to me the other day, they said, oh, we thought that was Satan. I said, because it was all red, like fire. I said, no.
It might have been me that said it.
Was that you?
I thought it might have been hell.
Yeah, you might have. But really, I call that heaven. That's my idea of power. Red is a very powerful color, and gold. And those are angels hopping around. That painting down next to it is Jacob's Ladder.
Oh, yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah, that's a big painting. So, but I also paint very simple things like those daisies that I learned from Cinnamon Cooney. I can teach those to anybody. And you see that tree right there, that fiery tree?
I like that one a lot.
That's a one-hoop painting as well. That's by Cinnamon Cooney. I teach that to the kids. If you look over here to the wall, now the kids' ones have all gone home. See my gallery space? This is my homeschool gallery space. The kids are hanging their artwork up there from my homeschool class on Fridays. Yeah, so the cat. We did this Halloween cat last week, and the week before that, if you look way over there, there's two kitties sitting under a tree. Those are all Cinnamon Cooney paintings, so they're one-hoop paintings. Some of those are done by 5-year-olds. They're really interesting. My work tends to be these beautiful flowers. This rainbow here over this barn, that's on Route 71 in Eastford. I was coming home one day, and a storm was lifting off. That's that big storm pulling off that painting in the barn there. And there was this beautiful double rainbow that shot down through the trees, hit the ground, and this beautiful color spilled out all over the meadow. Now, I've never seen the end of the rainbow, but I've seen the end of the rainbow, and I've seen it spill onto grass. It was so beautiful. So I've painted that actually twice. That's my second attempt at it. Nothing looks as beautiful as what I remember in my head.
Right, yeah, you can never recreate it quite.
You just can't.
Even with photos, even with the camera?
Photos. Well, the photo didn't do it justice either. Yeah. The photo couldn't get the rainbow, but I will probably paint that one again. So those are hard paintings. But, at my business here, if one of the people here, I think it was Delpha Veri, she said to me, I'd like to come and do some of these. She says, but I have very limited time. I said, Delpha, you come, you purchase a class, even if it's for a hard painting. I said, you can leave it here and come in at your leisure at lunchtime or whenever for 20 or 30 minutes and paint over 3 months if you want to. Take 20 minutes.
I think that's a pretty interesting point because I've been, like we were talking before, I've always wanted to learn how to do oil painting or acrylic painting or whatever it is, just to kind of like get started somewhere. And I feel like if you don't start, you're never going to do it.
Right.
And I feel like if you can come in here and have a space or have a plate that you can leave it, and you can just come in for 15 minutes
that's what I
at
got.
a shot. And you just start.
Yep.
And then you just work on that one. Come in whenever you ever get a chance. You can come in.
There's an opportunity to do that here. So
I love that
I
idea.
have no trouble with that. I've got lots of shelving where people can store stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just a piece of canvas. My paints are all over there. The other thing that I think I learned early on is I'm not fond of artsy, craftsy paints. They have their place. People like them. But when you're teaching painting, I have a real trouble using lesser grade paints because you get a lesser pigment in them, and it's really hard to get these bright, pretty colors that I like.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm teaching kids, I'll tend to use like a medium grade paint, and definitely nothing with cadmium in it. You have to be careful not to expose children or yourself to cadmium. So when I'm teaching kids, I'll use this medium grade paint from Blick, which is a art store,
mm-hmm.
and it gives you really bright colors. But I still don't like, even in Blick, I don't like the orange and the yellows. I like the really expensive colors they're called Golden. It's a brand, or Winsor Newton, or Liquitex. They're brands of paint.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're coming in to paint in my studio, generally speaking, I'm going to have the price set at a reasonable price, but you're going to be painting with quality paints with quality brushes, because it's really hard to make a nice painting if your bristles are falling out of your brush because you have a $1 cheapy brush. So I don't have top of the line brushes for my students because some of those are $30 a piece. However, if somebody wants to paint with my $30 brushes, they can pay me to do that. But generally speaking, my classes are $25 to $35,
mm-hmm.
and that gets you a reasonable paintbrush that you can really use and the better quality paints, so you'll get a really good result.
So you could potentially have people just kind of pop in and set up in a corner or set up in their own little space while you're working with potentially 3 or 4 different people walking around, helping them, giving them advice if they have questions, and you just kind of like take it one person at a time.
One person at a time.
And you just figure it out as you go.
Yep, and I have open studio, so if somebody wants to come in, I kind of set a fee of $100 for 4 hours a week. So that would be $25 a week to come in and paint for 4 hours a week.
That's awesome.
That's extremely reasonable.
See, I love it. Sometimes it's hard for me to get people to give me prices when I'm talking about the podcast, but I really feel like that is something that people can work with. $100 a month?
Yeah.
$100 a month.
That'd be 20 hours a week that you could, 16 hours a week that you could come in and have instruction from me, do your painting.
16 hours a month, right?
Yeah, 16 hours a month. Yeah, not a week. So 4 hours a week. I think that's really reasonable.
Nope. Nobody needs more than 4 hours a week, I think, to get started.
Not if
that's
they're
a
just
lot, actually.
learning how to paint.
Yeah.
If people want to use my studio for more time than that, we can negotiate that.
4 hours a week is more than sufficient to get your feet wet and to figure out, to get you started, work a little bit, maybe do a couple paintings a week, and then you just kind of take it from there.
Do some of these one-hoop paintings. These are not very difficult. The other thing about the labs program that I'm licensed to teach is that if somebody wants to come in, because Cinnamon Cooney is a very popular artist. Now, her tutorials are not, some of them are live streaming, but you can't get her to answer your question. You can chat in with her a little bit, but you can't be interactive with her like you can with me, because I do online teaching as well. But you can be very interactive with me through my Zoom software. You can come in here, though. I can launch a Cinnamon Cooney video for you if you want to do her goldfish or something that I might not be licensed to teach. Mm-hmm. She can teach it to you from the video. Don't tell this to people, okay? That's free. It's free for her to do that. You still have to pay me for my supplies and stuff.
Well, that's the thing. You make it really easy because we don't have to go and get the supplies and figure out how to do everything. Right. And also, it's kind of like, there's something about kind of hand-holding people when they first get started. And then, they can figure out what they want to do down the road, but at least they can get started with it, and they have somebody that they can ask questions to, get some guidance. It's kind of like if you're doing house repairs and you don't know what the heck you're doing.
Yes.
If you have somebody, like my stepfather will help me out if I need to do repairs and stuff like that. I don't have the first idea about how to do it. Of course, over the years, I've learned how to do a lot of things because I've gotten a lot of help over the years. But to get started, sometimes you're too afraid to get started.
Correct.
You don't want to mess it up on your own.
Yep.
So you have somebody give you a little bit of guidance, and then the next thing you know, you're on your way.
You are.
And then you just keep getting a little bit of guidance, and over time, you can make a lot of progress, and you can be very happy with the results that you get. So I would like to, talk about events that you might have coming up. Do you have any
I do.
classes that you can talk about?
So actually, tomorrow is Ladies' Night Out. You can bring your own bottle of something you'd like to drink. I do not encourage people over imbibing. I'm really careful. I don't want anybody leaving here getting hurt. So responsible adult beverage drinking is encouraged in painting situations with adults, not with kids. So tomorrow is ladies' night out. If you'd like to come and do a painting, bring your own beverage. I'll be here from 6 to 9 to do that. Tomorrow we are doing, the painting that I have in mind is this beautiful painting here. If you wait a minute, I'll show it to you. You can't see it on the podcast.
Is that always on a Wednesday? I mean, on a Thursday night?
Ladies' night out is always on a Thursday.
Okay.
However, it's the fourth Thursday of every month. However, if there are some ladies who want to paint on a different night, all they have to do is call me. We can change it around. But tomorrow, this is what I had planned, which is a cabin in the woods with a waterfall.
And you made that? You painted that yourself?
This is a cinnamon cooney painting. I did paint it myself.
Because, see, that's another example of painting that looks completely different from anything else that I see on the walls. You wouldn't think that the same person painted all of these different paintings.
I have a lot of very different paintings and a lot of different styles. Now,
that's really
so that's
nice.
what's for tomorrow, unless somebody wanted to do something else. I'm up for whatever my students want to do. And people can call me and say, I'd like to have a birthday party, and we'd like to paint a fish scene. I can either
like
create
Finding
you...
Nemo kind of thing?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
like
I can create you one. I'm doing birthday parties, bridal showers. And the bridal showers are kind of special because if I go and I talk to the customers, the man and the woman that are getting married, and say, what would you like in your home? I will design a painting that their family's going to come in and contribute to as they have this party.
Oh, that's kind of neat, yeah.
So, and I can have catered parties up here. I don't cook. I don't have a license to cook up here, but I can bring in food that's been cooked in certified kitchens. So,
like a little potluck type thing.
yeah, so we can have catered parties up here. That can be for bridal showers where the theme of the bridal shower is known to me, and I create a special painting just for that couple, and the family does it. I can also do baby gender reveal parties, where that's very popular nowadays to have a party that reveals the gender of the baby. So again, if I talk to the expecting couple and say, "What's your theme for this?" Like I have a lady coming in here later. She wanted a zebra theme. So I don't know if you saw it, but down at the bottom of the stairs, there's a zebra with a pink moon behind it.
I didn't notice it.
That's too bad. I think it's still down there. So anyways, I've created this zebra-themed nursery painting for her. And when her family comes in at the shower that they're having for her, they already know it's a girl. This isn't gender reveal. But say you didn't know, I'd create a painting where when we put all the pieces of the painting together that the family creates from my design, it reveals the gender of the baby. Maybe, 15 pink eyes and 16 blue eyes, and that means that it's a boy. So gender reveal is a big deal. Bridal showers, baby showers, nursery art, if you call it, and birthday parties. Those are all big things now. A lot of fun.
So what can you tell us a little bit about, you're saying you do online training also?
Correct. I've started with homeschoolers. I taught my first class today to 5 kids in Wisconsin.
Wow.
I just thought that was great. Yep, so I have some advertising out there, and people are responding on homeschool sites. And you don't have to go to homeschool to have an online art class, but homeschoolers tend not to get much art because they're at home, unless their parents teach them or are artists. So I've launched this. There's a lot of interest in this online. So I purchased 2 web cameras, and you can go on my website now and sign up for an online class. It starts Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 11. And I think I can handle up to about 25 students in a class online, depending on the degree of age and parental assistance. So I have all of the supplies they need to buy listed on Blick. And I'm actually going to make more supply lists for like Joann, Walmart, the other places that sell stuff. But Blick mails it to you.
How do you spell Blick?
BLICK, so blick.com.
Okay.
You go into Blick, say you were going to order my supplies to do my online class. You'd go to Blick, you'd click on schools, and the Windows Art Gallery appears there, and I have all of my supplies that you would need to do a one-hoop painting. And actually, you could probably do 3 one-hoop paintings for that first set of supplies. So then you sign up on my website. I email you the link to my online class. It reminds you a half an hour before your class starts, don't forget to come to class. And when you come into my class on your email, it just appears to you right over. It appears right over here. I've got my webcam all set up to look at the painting we're going to do, the painting that we're doing, the blank canvas, and then I can toggle back and forth between my face and the blank canvas or the painting that you're looking at that you're going to copy.
So see, me being a technology person and hearing this information for the first time, I was really impressed when you told me that we could potentially record the Main Street Committee meetings on that.
And I did do that. I think I neglected to hit save.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
We're going to talk about that when we get off of this podcast, because
Okay.
I went looking for it, and I said, well, what happened? Yes, but all of that can be saved. My Zoom software has a whole cloud that I can store things on. So
see, that's really interesting to me. I like to think that I'm on top of my game when it comes to technology, but when you brought that up, I'd heard of Zoom, but I didn't really know anything about it. And when you mentioned to me that multiple cameras and you can record it, you can show it live, it can be password protected.
Correct.
You can save it for later, and I just think that's a really great idea.
Yeah.
And I love how you can do and it's on demand too, so you can
Correct.
and you can people can come in here and talk to you in person and ask you questions and have you walk them through the process of things, but then they can also have access to other classes.
So I'm going to develop a lot of online stuff
I
because
like that
online
idea.
is the way. You know, I'll be doing some online adult, some online, whatever I can figure out to do online. You know, with my work with Red Cord Ministries, I have a lot of women that are hurt and damaged. So I was thinking about an online series of painting topics, you know, that can help them begin to work through some of their damage. So I might start doing that on a Saturday. So there's just a lot of online options, even with adults, or even just think about people that are shut-ins, people that are sick and can't get out but might want to paint. One of the things I'm doing in November is I'm going to start teaching some small art classes up at Matchelitis. Mm-hmm. They're a nonprofit nursing home. My father-in-law was there for several years before he passed away at age 94. So I forget what day it is, but someday early next month, I'm going to be up at Matchelitis for a couple of hours working with our senior citizens up there. So I'm really interested, you know, in getting out into the community and bringing art to wherever it needs to be that online, in my studio. I'm also mobile. I'm doing a paint party in November in Glastonbury for my first lady who's signed up for a mobile paint party. I'm going to take all my stuff and go to her house. So I'm mobile, I'm online, I'm in the studio.
That's pretty cool. So you really make it easy for anybody that's interested in art to actually do what they've wanted to do for a long time, like people like myself.
Correct.
Even though I have almost no time at all.
Yeah.
Like I always say, I work from the time I get up to the time I go to bed, except for sometimes I take a break to go out to dinner or have a drink and relax for a little bit. You know,
Good idea.
Other than when I'm with my kids, I'm always working. I just don't even stop.
You've got to bring your kids up here and everybody do a one-hoop painting.
I like that idea. So, no, I really do like it. And even for myself, just to learn how to, I always just, you know, the painting thing. I always just wanted to learn how to do
It's relaxing.
some sort of painting. I feel like it's a creative expression that
is.
You can do some cool things. And maybe you have, everybody I feel has like their own little bit of an idea of things that they would like to paint that maybe nobody else either has thought of,
Right.
or maybe things that are special to them that they want to have their own hand painting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sentimental things or scenes
Absolutely.
that they've seen throughout their
Yep.
life that are important to them that
Yep.
they want to have their own little touch on and their signature on the bottom of.
Right.
And on their wall. My
Yep.
mom does some similar types of paintings. What's the girl's name that does these up here?
Cinnamon Cooney.
Yeah, my mom does some paintings like that. She's up in New Hampshire and she takes classes occasionally, and she did a snowman in a field one time and I thought it was adorable. Really
Yeah.
came out really cute.
Crafty stuff. That's fun.
And it really does come out nice, and a lot of times it's surprising how people can go to take a class and they don't have to have any experience,
No.
and it can actually come out pretty good.
They can. Yeah, I've had really good results. My students do great work. It's really enjoyable and fun. And you know, when I paint, I'm very different than I was a year ago. You know, I'm not having these crying episodes anymore. I've sort of let go of some of the stress of trauma of working with people for so many years that, you know, we're in the business
that's gotta be tough.
of cancer treatment, which doesn't end well for lots of people. It does end well for some people.
Yeah.
But we all know that cancer is a bad disease, and
You
so
know who
I'm
you
much
should-
better.
You should talk to veterinarians that have to put a lot of animals to sleep.
That's
all the
another
time,
thing.
too.
Yeah, very
That's another
difficult. You know, and people that work, there's actually a name for it. It's called compassion fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain loses the ability to maintain this level balance. It used to be that when I worked with cancer patients, the reward I got from helping them, even if they were dying, was high.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt like I'd done a good job. I still feel like I did a good job, but there was no reward anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It just made me sadder and sadder and sadder and sadder. I couldn't get that reward anymore. My brain wore out. I think eventually you wear out of the chemicals. It's a physical thing. They call it an emotional disorder, but it's not like somebody can reach in there and fix it. There's no pill to take for this. So I found a year and a half out now from having retired from nursing that my joy has returned.
That's great. You
I
seem
can
very
breathe.
happy.
Yeah, no, I am. I
love
can breathe.
Yeah, I see your videos, your Facebook Live videos, and you're just full of excitement
Yeah.
and enthusiasm.
Isn't it nice?
And it is nice to see. And I love that there's this passion for people. There's a lot of passion in downtown Putnam
Yes.
for the artist community, and just it's like this busy little downtown area that's
It is.
walkable, and there's a lot of fun people. and everybody is just really great around here, and they're positive.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have somebody like you with the Facebook Live, because you don't see a lot of the Facebook Live going on with people that are friendly face, welcoming, come in and check it out and, you know, learn. Yep. So it's nice to have a positive influence, another positive influence in downtown Putnam.
Join the crowd.
There was one other thing I wanted to talk about. I'm trying to remember what it was. I'm thinking, well, there were a couple things. One of them was there is talk about bringing in vendors into the Montgomery Ward building, which is exciting. We haven't worked out the details of that, but we have a lot of new tenants in the building, and we're bringing a lot of life into the building with people like Theresa and Dave downstairs with Skeeter's Toy Box. Of course, we have Ann Montero, Sawmill Pottery.
Yep,
we
the
have
pottery's great.
Carol Reinowitz with CR Premier Real Estate, and then
chocolate,
and then Vivian downstairs at
Charlie.
And Charlie's
Chocolates.
Yep.
Yeah. And what else is downstairs? Who's Vivian? I haven't met her yet.
That's his wife.
Oh, okay. Vivian Charlie. Yep. No, I haven't met her yet. But yeah, chocolate truffles. Yum.
Right. Yeah. A lot of good stuff.
Who doesn't like chocolate truffles?
So this building is really, it's got the biggest skylight in all of downtown Putnam. I think it's the biggest square footage. I could be wrong on that, but it's either equivalent or the biggest. I think it has the most floors. It actually has 5 floors.
Yes.
So if anybody wants to learn more about Theresa LaCasse's Windows Art Gallery, they should stop into the Montgomery Ward building and just walk in the front door. It's right across from Antiques Marketplace, diagonally across from Victoria Station Cafe, and you just walk in the entrance between the Flying Carpet Studio on the left and Skeeter's Toy Box on the right, and you just walk into that main open area. I like to think of it as an M.C. Escher sketch because there's staircases and windows and all kinds of stuff all over the place. Big cathedral ceiling, and then you just walk up the staircase, and it's right there in front of you, and it's there's paintings all over the place.
There are.
And you can stop in and say hi to Theresa.
Anytime. Come have lunch.
And tell her that you heard about it on the podcast, hopefully. But
That's right.
Otherwise, just tell her that you saw her on Facebook Live or something at the First Fridays or one of those events. So I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast. Can you tell us one more time your phone number?
860-382-5095.
All right, everybody, that's Theresa LaCasse and a Windows Art Gallery. And for more information about the podcast here, this is the Real Deal Business Podcast. My name is Anthony Chabot with Chabot and Associates Real Estate Group. And if you're looking to buy or sell a home, or if you're looking for commercial or retail space in office space in downtown Putnam, Connecticut, you can feel free to give me a call. My number is 508-847-0902. And my web address is chabotandassociates.com. So thanks again, Theresa, for being on the podcast.
Great.
And I will see you at the
at the easel.
At the easel.